Welcome, Youest, you listeners. Oh my goodness, I am giddy. You are going to want to be able to watch this as well as listen because my guest today is such a beautiful spirit, has done incredible work on this planet, and is also sitting in the most gorgeous setting in his beautiful backyard. So I encourage you to go to YouTube and watch this as well if you can. But let me introduce you, our esteemed, beautiful spirit today, who's here to share all about ways that you can tap into your You-est, your essence, your highest self. You're in for such a beautiful treat. Today we have Jose Ruiz. He is the international bestselling author of The Fifth Agreement. As a Toltec master of transformation and modern day shaman, he has dedicated his life to sharing the wisdom of the ancient Toltec through his books, lectures, and journeys to sacred sites around the world. Other books include Ripples of Wisdom, My Good Friend The Rattlesnake, The Wisdom of the Shamans, and newly released The Medicine Bag, Shamanic Rituals and Ceremonies for Personal Transformation. We will have all of his information in the show notes, but without waiting a moment, Jose, what a gift to have you today. Oh my gosh, what a light you are. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for the invitation, sister. Very happy to be here this morning in these times.
Oh, well, so just to dive right in, these times are quite interesting. And before I really want to dig into the Toltec traditions, shamanism. I think some of these questions that I have received from many listeners, like, what does that mean? And I want to dig into that. I'm curious before we do that, though. I heard a beautiful video you did recently. Maybe you could just shed some of your insight and wisdom. How do you perceive this time we're in right now? Do you have any intuition around it that might be hopeful or helpful to those that are listening?
Well, the most beautiful thing about the Toltec tradition is that it's always at service. And it's always creating art with whatever life throws at the artist. And if there's difficult times, we believe that Mother Earth send us the difficult time because it believes in us that we can overcome anything. So we can believe in ourselves, and that's the way that we are trained. Just like a mama jaguar trains its cubs, it's always there watching them. But the little cubs are figuring things out by themselves. And the most beautiful thing to figure out as a human, as an artist, is that when we are tired of living in the world of suffering, in the world of envy, hatred, and all that, we know that that is a sickness of suffering. And there's addiction in this world. So when we kind of wake up, we cannot go back to sleep because it's a moment of service. Because when positivity and you see it like water and you see thirsty people, it's painful not to share it. So our honest self, our true nature is to share that liquid water for everybody to take the thirst away so nobody is thirsty, because we believe that we're one being. So if we help somebody's thirst, somebody's going to come and take our thirst away as well. But the most beautiful thing about, especially in this time, like I was speaking to my cousin the other day, saying, just imagine seeing this coronavirus happening. People can identify, people can see it, but they're hiding in our homes so we don't get contagious. But I want you to use your imagination, I said to my cousin. What if the coronavirus was the addiction of suffering, and for the first time we could see it, we could feel it, and we can see how contagious it is, that we can be aware of how we break our own spirit as humanity, so we can have the antidote of that virus that is the addiction of suffering to hurt one another, so we can serve Divine Mother, and the Mother is the planet Earth. And not only there, it stops because we're not separate from Mother Earth. Sometimes we think because we have a mind of our own and a body of our own, we think that our body that we carry is not Mother Earth. No, it's Mother Earth. It has a whole nervous system. It has a whole feeling that communicates through us. But we like to suppress it because we go hiding behind stories, behind nightmares, and the body is asking for help, is asking to be released, to stop being tense, to stop that anxiety, because when we feel anxious, it's the body's telling us, there's something happening, and this is where we wake up our intuition, sister, because our body is one with us. So our intuition is to listen to the language of our body, which is not in English, it's not in Spanish, it's not Spanglish, it's not German, it's not French, but it's a feeling that we all humans feel. Whether we do good or we feel bad, we do positive things or we do negative things. So we can see what kind of messenger we are in this earth. So the moment that we awake and we see that we contributed in negativity, in heartbreak, I go, oh my God, I did that. The first reason would be to self-sabotage, poor me, but then you go, okay, I didn't know what I did. In that moment, you wake up because you're aware that you are creating art with the experiences, because the experiences are the colors, and how we take life in and create a story. That's the canvas. So that's why I like to be optimist. You know, I don't see it a bad thing, because that optimism sees the beautiful thing in everything. And that's the beautiful thing. Everything is God. So when we see the beauty in every situation, we see the divine, we see the light, and we see the tunnel to get out of darkness. So the beautiful thing is to not paralyze ourselves with our own fear. And this is when we respect ourselves, because we respect our own fear, because the body felt the fear, took one for the team to let us know to take action. And then when we wake up, it's because we took action, and then we cannot go back to sleep. And that's when we have our consciousness clean, because we are loyal to our word. And this is what we have in life, because the word is the foundation of any story. So as a storyteller, how are we using the words?
Woo! My very wise brother, there's like 500 questions in there that I have for you. That was beautiful. That was so beautiful. One of the questions, so I kind of tune into the collective, and I'm trying to hear questions that others might ask. And one might be, what is the message from Mother Earth right now, from Divine Mother? What do you think she is? I think you kind of said it, but what do you think what is she saying to us in this experience? In this?
Well, she's regenerating.
Mm.
She see us humans contaminating her, putting poison in her, hurting the little children, our brothers and sisters, which is the animals, the trees, the Amazons, the forest.
Yeah.
You know, she feels that we're destroying the earth. So what happens when we feel like bugs or parasites in our back? We start scratching. We start getting them out. So the body earth is starting to do that. So like I said earlier, she's giving us a message, because we're part of her. Even if we're male, we're still called the body of the female, because it's Mother Earth's body. Mm-hmm. So when we begin to feel her regenerating, guess what is beautiful? To regenerate ourselves. And you know, one of the ABC in spirituality teachings is the worm, the caterpillar that goes into a cocoon that turns into a butterfly. ABC. Well, we're all now ABC, being practicing, because we are in our home quarantine. We're in our cocoon. So what we're doing is we're making in our cocoon our space sacred, because the cocoon in the Toltec tradition is a mirror room. And everything you see there is a reflection of you, your own thoughts. So when you find peace within yourself, in your own home, you make your home sacred, no different than India, no different from the pyramids in Mexico, or any sacred Senegal or cathedral, because your home is sacred, because that is a reflection of your mind. So the moment that we begin regenerating is because we're letting go of all the parasites in voice that we give power to, because the parasite is a living being that feeds over another living being, and just feel how we were parasites to the earth. And then we say, you know what? Like my partner said, you know, we're like bacteria. We're humans, we're like bacteria to the earth. So we can choose what to be, good bacteria, bad bacteria, like a good kombucha, you know, a good kombucha. We begin, you know, putting things into the earth and fixing it, you know. So when we feel Mother Earth doing this, why do we not do it ourselves? And like I said earlier, if we can identify like the coronavirus happening, if it was the addiction of suffering and we are tackling it down, how beautiful it is, because the first act of transformation is awareness. You cannot transform your life if you not know what you're aware of leaving behind. And as I feel and said before, Toltec means artist of the spirit. So there's nothing to learn in the Toltec tradition, but to unlearn what takes our inspiration away. So just imagine, in the nature is the shamanism, the Nahualism. When we find the nature within us, and I don't know if you can hear water streaming right now. In our life force, it's always life streaming, and that's the dream of time. And in time, thing heals, thing goes by. But what happens when we hold on to something that the river's taking away? We're going fighting against nature. You know, we're punishing ourselves for things that happened 20 years ago because we're not letting it go. And it's time to let the river take away whatever it needs to take away, so we can accept what the river is bringing in today. So if we don't regenerate our life, our dream, we're going to complain what life took away. We're going to stay behind. But when we regenerate, let things go, we accept what is coming next. And what's coming up next in the spiritual ABC is that we're getting our wings, because we're breaking free from the cocoon. And the answer to say, when the butterflies come out of the cocoon, is the resurrection of the human. like our loved one who had transcended. They fly away for a few days to feel the beautiful thing. And many people who had witnessed that experience, you know, they describe how they find themselves as a point of perception, flying around, seeing their loved ones. So I like to imagine that we're all connected. And just like the hummingbirds, they're sister and brothers to the butterflies. And the hummingbirds' message in the world is to share the nectar they collect, and collect nectar and share it wherever they go. And I just want you to imagine the gift of us human is like the butterflies to resurrect, and it's like the hummingbirds to share the nectar that we collect. So the nectar that we're collecting right now is positivity through the Toltec work, through the Buddhism work, through the any kind of, you know, religion or metaphysical or whatever you believe in, music, carpentry, whatever action opens up your heart. Mm. You know, you find that message behind it, and it's the nectar of your happiness, your inspiration. Then you go in life and you're a walking messenger. You don't even notice because you're being your authentic self. When we try to pretend, it's the most hardest thing in life because we're trying to be what we're not. We're pretending. And that's the most difficult thing because pretending is a source of lies. And lies is the foundation of hell. So when we respect our nature, it's because we are into shamanism or to Nahualism, or just call it life. Because we find the spirit within us, knowing that it's on vacation. And like I said to my friend, when you lose your suitcase in the airport, you may lose your heaven, you may lose your center. But I tell you one thing, brother, who's on vacation? You're the suitcase. And sometimes we let the suitcase ruin our vacation, what life took away, when we can just get a new suitcase and begin and start a new fresh life.
Oh my gosh, so powerful. Again, everything you're saying, I'm like taking notes as quick as I can. And it's just, it's so wise. It's really, what I'm getting to is that we have this natural essence. And when we try to be something else, I did a lot of life like that. I got to tell you, I was exhausted. I looked older then, and I ended up having a autoimmune sickness come out of it. It was harder to be what I'm not. And I found when I just accepted, loved, and honored, okay, this is the essence of who I am. It's like light and easy. Now, not every day, all the time, but I think for those that are listening and they're like, I would like to be in flow with my natural essence and awaken, and I don't even know where do you begin with, you know, you could start with the awareness of, I would like to feel more awakened. I would like to feel more connected to Divine Mother Earth, to myself. What do you share? Where would people begin?
Well, the first thing is to surrender. To not have expectations.
Yeah.
To find their own way. Yeah. To take a breath in life, wherever they're at, and feel their calmness. Because this is where it all comes from. Like one of my friends says, Jose, I'm beating myself up. I go, why? Because I've been studying shamanism for 2 years and I still don't know what a vision quest is. I cannot do it. And I go, you know, brother, the vision quest, they put it so serious, so mystical, they put it on pedestal, but vision quest is simply daydreaming. Have you ever daydreamed, brother? He goes, all the time. That is a vision quest. When you surrender and let your mind just wander, and then you can get the beautiful feeling of inspiration. So the first thing is surrendering of what you're not and being honest of what's sabotaging in your life. Like I said earlier, in the Toltec tradition, there's nothing to learn but to unlearn. So when we surrender to, you know, to swimming upstream, and we begin to unlearn, you know, the expectation that if one is this way, if it doesn't this way. And that's why many people cannot find the perfect partner, because they do not know that they're the love of their life. They're looking for someone else that they're the love of their life. And when they meet somebody, they have all these expectations that is say, if you truly love me, you will do just what I tell you to do. And if you don't, then that means you don't love me. Then we begin manipulating, you know, trying to shape somebody into what they're not. But the moment that we just let them be, it's because we respect ourselves, because we let ourselves be, because we don't belong to nobody and nobody belongs to us, you know, and we cannot allow nobody screaming at us, and we will not allow ourselves screaming at somebody else, because that's disharmony. And when we find out that we are the love of our life, it's because we surrender trying to find the perfect dream outside of us, because we have the perfect dream. You know, we don't have to be like the model that we see in the groceries magazine. We don't have to be what they sell us every day on TV. You know, it's a trick, you know, because we don't earn happy with what we have. So if we have like an iPod that's 10 years old, that you have your own music that no one internet can mess with it, But the television tells you that you need a new iPhone because of what people want, to keep up with the Joneses, to keep up with modern. But if that iPod serves you, he said, it's just music. I don't need something that I do not need because I have everything that I need. But people always look for what they don't have because they're always looking for the promised land. Yeah. They don't even realize that we have everything that we have right here, right now. We don't need to collect more stuff. We need to release of that stuff. And I don't mean material things. I mean about stories, because we're storytellers. But like I said before, if our story is based on lies, pretending to be love, pretending to, to help people, just to be validated and be accepted, it's not about buying people, not buying people trust. It's about really being you and be like for being you. Sometimes people set themselves up giving gifts to all these people thinking, I give you a gift, now you owe me your loyalness. No, it's not about that. It's about being your authentic self and being open heart. And that's what, I imagine Jesus, Buddha, Kuan Yin, and all those beautiful goddesses and, beautiful men and women who embrace. And you know what was the point? They ended machismo.
Yes.
Machismo was the suppression of divine mother. And like I said earlier, even if you're male, you're carrying the mother body within you because it's life. So when you suppress yourself, even with women, when you suppress yourself, you're suppressing divine mother. So when we come aware that we have suppressed her without awareness by we suppress ourselves, that's it. We didn't know what we did before. So now I know that I'm perfect with the mistakes that I have done in life and the mistakes that I will do in life because that's how I learn. And every time I say, I'm not perfect, I'm insulting divine mother. And with awareness, I will never do that again. So in this moment, I say, thank you. Now my life is eternal. People are dreaming. And like one of the stories that my father shares, imagine being the only sober person where everybody's completely drunk, drunk with the addiction of suffering, validation. I need this to be happy. I need this. When you have everything, that's why when people have that experience, all of a sudden they become enlightened because, you're alive. Everything that you hold, for suffering is tasteless. That, this morning I woke up and I saw that the Rolling Stones had just put out a record called Living in Ghost Town. And one of my teaching is Ghost Town, because when we live in Ghost Town, we know that we don't belong there anymore. So when I read and heard that song today, I got so happy because I think the world is ready to stop living in Ghost Town, stop living in our ancestors' dream and start living in our own dream. And living our own dream is respecting our ancestors because we're not gonna hide in our problems behind them. We're gonna confront our problems inspired by them and keep the ancestors, shine that fire within ourselves. And the keepers of the flame is all of us. There is no selected group. Like I sometimes see selected group with personal importance and ego. Oh, this is a shaman. You can never be shaman, but it's a selected group. We're all the same, aren't we? Only the words and stories separate us. But what if we know that the story is not real? What if the words are not real? What real is feelings? And we go back to the integrity to uncorrupted temple that the words corrupted in the first place because there was greed, selfishness. Now people are beginning to understand the value of life, and not only with their own life, but the value of the plants, and especially veganism, to respect animals, to say that they do have feelings like we do. When they say they don't have feelings, that means that we don't have feelings as well, because we've been suppressing divine mother. But when we see them as we be treating animals in the glass house and having all these excuses why we continue doing it, they're nothing more than excuses. So I ask, why are we not happy? Why are we still holding on to a relationship that is over 20 years ago? Because it's the addiction of suffering. We want to look for the ugliness to judge because we never want to change ourselves. So we put ourselves in a bucket with brothers and sisters, and we are just putting ourselves down. Nobody wants everybody to rise up. But what if we begin helping our brothers and sisters to rise? Because my stepmother, before she transcended, she did a teaching. I love and mastered that teaching, said, I love everybody like they were my own children. And she passed away. And I imagine, I can love everybody like they were my own brothers and sisters. Some are asleep, some are awake. There's no judgments. I could still be sleeping, but there were terrible things that happened in my life that I woke up and I forgave and I overcome them. Because of my optimism, because I like to see the beauty in every human, even if they don't see their beauty. And that's the beautiful thing about forgiveness, is to see they just woke up in a different part of a dream, where they have no will because the dream took them over. And when you are surrounded by suffering, it's so painful, the pressure, the irritation. You just want to escape. You just want another life. That you feel like you cannot get it. So that's why many people, take their own life. It's so sad that they have another opportunity. And that's why it's beautiful to say to you and to everybody else that I believe in resurrection, but I believe in resurrection in the same life. I used to be a toddler, open heart. I got domesticated, reward and punishment. I punished myself. And then I got tired of living that way and I resurrected. So right now, my only responsibility is to take care of the love of my life, which is Jose. And the beautiful thing is that I didn't even pick that name, but I love how my parents call me Jose, and it's my grandfather's name. So it's sacred to me. You know, I love it because it's something represents people that I love, but I know in reality that it's not real. But it's a beautiful story. I enjoy it. So when I know that there's awful stories, negative stories, painful stories in this life, and beautiful, inspiring, uplifting stories in this life, what would I pick? What would I pick for the love of my life? Of course, I would, you know, no question asked. But people without awareness, they go through the outer world because they believe in lies. And someone told them, like they told Pinocchio, you know, you have to be a grown-up. And you have to do whatever you need to do. Hurt your parents, hurt yourself. And, you know, when that happens, we only lose our inspiration. Because one of the things that, you know, that I believed in when I was little, like they say in my country, I believed that I wanted to become an adult instead of a grown-up with responsibilities, but living my life. When I wanted to be an adult, it's because I wanted to be part of the machine. But, you know, I'm not part of the machine. I'm free as the butterfly because I was dead once. Now I come back to enjoy the rest of my life because it's a beautiful art. And when we see this, we are in heaven, no doubt. So I thank you, sister, for sharing your message of love because we both work for the same boss.
Wow. I want to reflect a couple really quick things because there's so many gorgeous nuggets and everything you're saying, but this beautiful, I agree 100%. I am the love of my own life. And this journey of learning to unlearn all of this programming that we've gotten. I mean, I'll be honest, every day, I think I've maybe gotten some of it. And then I'm seeing it again, like getting trapped in my mind, getting trapped in these thoughts. I did a walk this morning and I was like, let me just do the whole walk in my heart. You know, Jose, I'll be honest, there were many times I'm like, there I am again. I'm making a judgment about my past, or I'm fearful of the future. I'm like, that's not where my heart is. And I went to my heart and she's like, we're just really happy to be here right now with the birds. Like, we're just, all is well. And I just think of what you're saying about that falling in love with yourself, you being the prince, princess, the chariot for yourself. To me, it's such an honoring of Divine Mother because we're all an expression of her. And I love your way of explaining this. It's so accessible and beautiful.
Oh.
So
yes, and I love what you just said, sister, because it happens like that. Because when you become having awareness, you begin seeing yourself. And before we didn't see, like before we betray our heart, but then I go, I don't like this. The heart begins speaking and we begin listening. And in the midst of the reaction, we're having the awareness. So we're healing it. We're ending the dream. We're letting that go. We're saying goodbye to it because we have woken up. So when we wake up, we cannot go back to sleep. We can ignore it, become lazy and not take, and it will only get bigger. But when we know to keep our inspiration flowing, we have to clean up that space and let that go. So it's beautiful to have awareness. Just because we have negative thoughts or these things doesn't mean that we're applying them. We're listening to, like one of my friends said, oh, Jose, I think I'm making them. I'm still, listening to this judgment. I go, you're making it, brother. How can you say that? Well, you're listening to the judgment. You're not acting on them. You're catching them. You're ending them. You're filtering them. And that's the job of the artist, of the shaman, of the curandera, of the guru, of whatever you want to name it. That's the act of awareness that you catch it, you see it, and you let it go. It doesn't get into your system. Or like Buddha likes to say, you turn the arrow into a rose.
Oh, I haven't heard that. That is, I've got to write that down. Can you tell us about what it means to be a shaman? What I know many, there's such a, I think there's like this shaman mystical, like only certain people, but I have a feeling you have a different response to it. Can you just share, what does it mean? How do you become one? Like all things shamanism, what for our listeners can you share about it?
Well, there's many traditions shamanism. There's like over hundreds of different shamans, different traditions about the world. But what I understood, the shamanism that you learn is from you. Because once I was a parrot and I repeated everything the parrot does until the parrot found its own voice. And when it found its own voice, it's because it didn't reflect the outside anymore. It found its own voice because it looked into itself. So when I look into itself and knowing the journey of shamanism, it has nothing to do with the outside. It has to do with the inside and falling in love and finding wisdom in the nature inside of you. And we all have nature. And inside our nature, when we close our eyes, we enter the room in the middle of the universe where we close our eyes. And that is the beautiful thing where planets surround, when the planets surround the beautiful star of the sun and they get feed upon. So when we begin feeling this essence, when we begin feeling this beautiful energy within us, you know, we know that there's a heart that creates a rhythm like a metronome. And that heart is always celebrating life because it's alive. Then we begin feeling our emotions. We can feeling our heartbreaks, our happiness. So it came a point my grandmother used to teach me the weather and controlling the weather. At first, I thought I was going to be learning how to control the weather outside, but no, that was just a trick. She goes, how is the weather? You know, you can control the weather. And I said, I can, Grandma, yes, inside of you. And the weather are emotions. So if you feel sad, you feel heartbreak, you know that that is just like the storm coming in. And what happens when a storm comes in? It will go back where it came from. So all the emotions come and go. And this is where our body begins speaking to us. And if we're not afraid of emotion, we can listen to our body and serve her. And in that moment, I realized in the shamanism epiphany, as a symbol, it was like the Virgin of Guadalupe. The Virgin of Guadalupe, her body represents our life force, our emotional body, our nervous body. And around her, the hour represents she is full of life, the interaction between her and life in her. But underneath her is the most powerful thing. It's a moon plate with a little angel holding her. Well, guess what? Our mind is that angel. It's that essence, that energy that got into this body, into this vessel to take care of the automatic, because the body has a life force of its own. Like when we are thirsty and we put just a glass of water in our lips, the body will drink it by itself. It will just do the automatic. So when we are holding the Divine Mother, we are, well, taking care of her. This is our garden. And what happens if we feel certain kind of emotion? We don't want to confront it with our mind, with our reason, with our awareness, and we just run away. What happened to Mother? She's going to fall and our body's going to feel the pain. So Grandma always said the true healer is the one that can heal itself from his own life, from his own heartbreaks, and he can control the weather. So when you learn how to control the weather, it's because meditation, you have advancing, because you know that meditation is an essence of energy that you pull down to find a quiet mind. And you can find the art that people have done in this world, like music. Music quiets the mind. That's why mantra is so powerful. And especially the quotes and words. If we feel stuck and we don't know how to meditate, we can find somebody's, you know, rhythm of their heart, and they can give us into a guided meditation. The beautiful thing about this time is that we're not alone, sister. Our ancestors were alone, but now we're in a universal world. Yes, there's still racism and, you know, groups with special interests, you know, even in different older traditions. But most of the humans have gathered in unity in different religions. Like we accept everybody's tradition without discriminating that ours is the number one, because it's not the number one, because they all are in ground agreement to tackle the addiction of suffering in the mental world of the human. Because I remember when I was in my mental institution in my head, when I was believing in lies, in my own suffering and my drug addiction, my father used to come and visit me. And, you know, he said to me, when I go visit you, I feel like I visit you in your asylum, in your cell, because the door is open. You just don't want to come out. And you only want to see what you want to see. You defend your problems, you defend your excuses, and no one's going to kick you up. But I love you so much that I come and visit you. I don't believe you. I don't take you personal. I love my son. And it's just, I wish my son would live a different dream, but you're only responsible for your own life. I will come and visit you, and maybe one day you'll walk out with me. And then one day I imagine that I walk out with him. And I asked him, what is the best way that I'm going to say thank you to you for everything you teach me, for showing the reflection that I could get out of the cage? And he said, the best way you can thank me is to change your own world. Every time you say you're not beautiful enough, that you cannot change, you can transform, I want you to find your nature and change it. And that's the best way you can thank me. And I don't even have to know, but you will know. And you know, that's so powerful when someone tells you, I don't even have to know, but you will know. And your agreement with me and yourself cleans your consciousness, because it will not allow you to betray and break your word. That you'll become impeccable with your words. Now everything you speak up will have energy, and that essence that you really are, you will put a piece into every word. And that's what makes the 4 agreements so special. He said to me, in the 4 agreements, I place myself in that book. In every word, I put my heart and spirit.
Yeah.
And everyone can do the same when they reach out and find their own heart, because the heart is the medicine bag. Because everything that we have in our heart is a sacred tool that we look into sacred. Because let's say we have our children in our heart, they're sacred. We have a necklace in our heart, is sacred because somebody gave it to us. So whatever is sacred in our heart, it becomes sacred. And that's a beautiful thing. We make things sacred. We give power to the power objects. But the most beautiful thing is that we're the healing. And in this time, it's very important to be your own healer, to not believe all these lies, and to not let what's going on in this world uninspire you to do the best that you can with your life.
Sometimes I have no words. It's just what you're saying is so it's ringing. My whole body is frankly, I'm like buzzing, because this feels, you know, the frequency of what you speak. There is there's such a oneness and a truth to this, and I believe in this so wholeheartedly. It's like for me, what you said earlier about the calling right now from Divine Mother is our waking up, and like your father said, to choose a new dream, to choose the dream. And you said, I love it, you saw yourself walk with him, you saw yourself, you created that, you had that visualization. And I remember you said earlier, you know, that whole vision quest, it's dreaming. We do that naturally, and it's so powerful. And it sounds like that really was one of the big changes in your life for you, was when you saw that. So beautiful.
Yes, when we take dogma out of tradition, we can find the gem so pure, because all we're talking about is human emotion, lies, and you know, the heartbreak. Because it's heartbreak that make us jealous. It's heartbreak that make us not trust people. It's heartbreak that make us rot inside. But when we have the compassion and we find freedom within ourselves, everybody's free to believe in whatever they want to believe. But the difference it is, we will no longer sacrifice ourselves for anybody or anything. We will no longer enable anybody. We will walk our truth. And this is what a beautiful thing I like about Buddha and Jesus, because they spoke, their stories is so beautiful that they lived their dream. They overcame their own negativity. You know, when Jesus talks about going to the desert and talking to the snake, I feel it because I'm talking to my snake. I'm talking to my negativity, and I walk to the desert so I don't hurt anybody that I love, because when I'm alone, that weather is going to end with me, start and end with me. But when I'm there, I will learn an epiphany. When I learn to let go, I will find a medicine. So I know that the heartbreak that I will find in the future, like I have done in the past, is medicine, is teaching, because we're like a sculptor. And many us humans, we're strong enough that we can take that pain, that we can filter it and give it to others who are not that strong as we are. But when we take that medicine, they'll become strong as we are too. And the beautiful thing is that the little ones, they learn not what we say to them. They learn our pathway, how we walk. They begin to imitate us, because I remember when I was young, I wanted to imitate my elders, my cousins, my friends from the neighborhood. And, you know, they were in bad steps, you know, in addictions and things like that. And I thought that was becoming an adult, to have problems, to have emotional drama and all that. But it's not. It's not. If is there any teenager listening to me, you're here to make a masterpiece of art. You're not here to sacrifice your art for anybody. People already live their dreams. And sometimes they like to live their dreams through somebody else. They just notice they're just dreaming. There's nothing to debate, nothing to take on personal. Yes, you may feel a little bit, but you can turn that into a rose, because what you're here for is to enjoy this beautiful life. And I know the teenage years is one of the hardest ones ever, because that's where kids, like Stephen Adler says, you know, kids can be so cruel. They do not know what they're saying. They can be abused at home, and they will continue abusing kids like they're abused in their schools. So that's why for every parent, you know, we can teach your kids, but what good it is if you go there and disrupt everything that, you know, your teacher teaching, they're learning about love. You have to learn love. You have to understand your children, and what robbed them from the innocence of discovering this beautiful world. Yeah, we all have heartbreaks, but the little ones, you know, they haven't had it yet. Just because we had it, we don't have to defend and project our fears into them. You know, they're very wise. You know, one of the beautiful things is to support them, because that's what we would love to do in our life. Not somebody support us. Yeah, we may grow up, but we can still live that dream, because remember, we're still in the middle room. Everything that we do in this world will remain here, especially positivity. Negativity, the dust will cover, like they covered the pyramids. They're like they cover nature. Nature does itself. It covers dreams. But what we do is uncover this dream that we bury ourselves alive. That's why I said again, I believe in resurrection in the same life.
Yeah.
And we all resurrected in this time. Yeah. So we can have two choices. We can continue sleeping and, you know, blame the world for what's happening right now. Because even the world leaders, you have to understand and forgive them. They do not know what they're doing, some of them, because they're also living in pain and they're just in survival mode, you know? People have not yet known how to live in unity because there's still borders, you know? I believe that in probably 200, 300 years, that's gonna go away.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna be like Europe once want to live in peace. So they break out those barriers, but we're not there yet because we don't trust. In the moment that we begin trusting ourselves, the little ones, they're the next leaders in the world, you know? You can see all these people that are 30 years and upper, you know? They're already in a world that are going out, you know? But the little kids are coming with a new mentality. And that's like I love about all the masters around the world, because we're not about time, because positivity in heaven is not about time, it's everywhere. It's just lies that come and visit that they forget. They try to invade us, but the sun is always shining. And it always will.
I want like 5 more hours with you because there's so much you're saying. I'm having a hard time. Like there's so much you said. Even the resurrection piece. It reminded me back to the caterpillar, the butterfly. You know, you said the ABC, but you know, I've been thinking about this a lot too. I even calling this a time of isolation. I use the words cocooning. I've been saying this is a time of huddling at home, of cocooning, and I even, you know, what we said earlier on about Divine Mother regenerating, it's like what I'm hearing you say, and I so agree. It's like, it's a call to action to emulate Divine Mother and to see, and I got to tell you, it's a daily process, and I'm doing this every day. And it's like, wow, there's more to unlearn and more to peel. And I guess that's part of the whole journey. It's not supposed to be like, okay, we're done.
No,
really,
because then it's over, you know. That the beautiful thing is that we all have a garden, and like they call it in the Bible, the Garden of Eden. That, you know, they got kicked out because they eat the forbidden fruit because somebody invented the forbidden fruit because he was a snake. But the Garden of Eden is our head, is our mind, is our jungle. That's why I like to be a jaguar in my jungle, because this is my jungle, you know. But the beautiful thing is when we have a garden every day, like you said, we have to work on it.
Yeah.
You know, every day we have to go say, thank you, Mother, and touch the plants. Say thank you. And sometimes the palm trees just move like they were big orca whales, you know, like coming to the ocean, and you can pet them, you know. Mother's always hearing you, and the body's always communicating. So when we go into silent knowledge, it's because we hear nature. And then we can put that nature into the vibration, into the words that we speak. And that's the beautiful thing. Every Toltec, you know, feels the divinity. And I say Toltec, I'm not talking about Toltec of 2,500 years ago. I'm talking about the humans. Every 7 billion Toltec of today. You know, the challenge it is, how are you going to describe the heaven that you feel inside, going through all the doubts? And even the doubts coming through your mind, they're part of the story because you're describing how you overcame them. But the beautiful thing, how you're just going to describe how you brought heaven into this earth. And that's the most beautiful story. And I imagine that in the time when we meditate in caves, when I go to Teotihuacan in Mexico, in the Toltec Teotihuacan grounds, when we go into caves and meditate there at night, I imagine that our ancestors didn't have television, didn't have books, they only had imagination, love, fear, and dreams. So at night, they dream and they wake up and they arrange their food and they make this fire pit inside the cave. And now everybody begin sharing their stories, sharing their dreams they had the night before. And could you imagine how many of those dreams people took too seriously that they become obsessed by them and fanatic about it, and that became a religion, but it was just a dream? Just like my partner told me this story, that there was a little girl in school. She was drawing, and the teacher goes, "What are you drawing?" And she goes, "I'm drawing God's face." And the teacher goes, "Well, no one knows what God looks like." But the sureness of the little girl and the pureness of her heart says, "Well, they're about to find out." So what if, you know, they take this painting of this little girl 200 years later, they frame it, they put all this story in it, we blind faith believe in it, and we think that is the face of God, which is the face of God because there's many gods, but the storyteller. So that's why when we see religions, when we see mystery schools, they're just a story, philosophies, explaining about life to overcome the feelings as human that we face in relationship, in envy, jealousy. But of course, at one point, they wanted to make this separate because they didn't want to, make it simple. It had to be complicated so we don't transform. So when we in spirituality make it simple, like the ABCs, we don't have to learn the C's or the Y's. We just know right away, because if we want change, we will have it. If we want to play games, we will play games and we will corrupt spirituality.
I love the simplicity. I love what you just said. I think it's very easy to make it complicated and you've got to do this and this. It makes sense to me when you say that, like in my heart and body and mind, because why wouldn't it be simple? Why wouldn't it be? It's our birthright. Why wouldn't it be beautiful? I have to show you, you were talking about the arrow and the roses, and I have these gorgeous bouquet of roses. And I'm like, I just, if you're listening, I'm showing a big bouquet of roses. And I just feel like the energy of this spoke to me to show you, like,
oh, my favorite.
so beautiful. I like talk to them, touch them. They're so gorgeous. Before we wrap up, I do want to talk about you had mentioned the 4 agreements earlier, and that was something that was very, very transformative for me. This is like 18 years ago when I had started to face my addiction, many addictions, but the one that really I struggled with was actually with food, with abusing food, like at a very, it robbed me of being present. I allowed it to, until I really started to peel it away. And Jose, the biggest healing was learning to love myself, was learning to love my body, myself. And it's amazing how food has sort of moved back into its place. But I really leaned in on those agreements. I really, really leaned in, especially as a people pleaser, like not taking things personally. And I know you wrote all about the 5th agreement, and I was hoping you could just share, for those, I know many have read it, but in case they haven't, or they just want a refresher, like talk about the 5th agreement, because I think it's beautiful.
Yes, the 5th agreement is something that helped me understand and master the 4 agreements in my life. Because, when I read the 4 agreements, I said, they're so simple, Father, I'm going to master them. Piece of cake, no problem. And then 2 weeks later, I go, these agreements are difficult, Father. He goes, no, these agreements are simple. The difficult thing is the agreements that you have made in life that you're about to break. Because simplicity makes see you have the agreements you have. So one thing that stopped me from living these agreements is because I believed them. But then I began being skeptical of my own negativity. I'm being skeptical of my own poison. And that's what the 5th agreement is to be skeptical, but learn to listen with the heart. It's not to be skeptical to other people and other dreams. It's about being skeptical of your own poison. Yeah. It's to be the scorpion that stops stinging itself with its own stinger. It's time for us to stop stinging ourselves with our own mind. And just we find the invitation every day in life. And every day I make a prayer, may life protect me from myself. Because if I have that much love, I have that much hate. So I understand that hate, but I know how to control my hate, my anger, like a rattlesnake. And this is one of the beautiful things about nature. So the 5th agreement make me be skeptical of my own negativity. If when I wasn't being impeccable with my word, I didn't believe myself. When I took something personally, I didn't believe myself. When I made assumptions, I didn't believe myself. And I got the courage to go and ask the question so I don't make assumptions. Because sometimes we are afraid to communicate because we don't want to communicate. We are afraid. We feel butterflies in our bottom, and it's weird. Why do we feel butterflies in our stomach and feel disturbance that doesn't let us speak? It's because the self-judgment, the suppressing of mother, that we feel less than, that we're not allowed to speak, to think freely. And then we're meant to take everything personal, and we take everything personal, so we continue sleeping. It's like putting everybody in the bucket. The day that you don't take yourself personal, it's because you don't believe those lies, because you're skeptical of your own negativity. The moment that you begin being impeccable with the word is because you don't believe, the negativity, that now you hold the word with power. Let's say you're going through a difficult time. You feel all this poison in you, but you do a prayer. May life protect me for yourself. I don't have time to suffer. I don't have time to suffer. I don't have time to suffer. You feel the power in your voice that you're asking for help. So when you pray, who's listening? The angel is. And we are the angel. The angel has never been outside of us. Our guardian angel is always been us. So the moment that we stop believing in lies and be skeptical of the negativity, we are unlearning. To be skeptical is the power to unlearn what medicine we put into ourselves that doesn't feel any good. And the first rule is that the art of happiness is that we're not happy all the time. That way, when the unhappiness comes in, we can take our medicine back and begin doing prayer, begin doing service to take that irritation and calm the body down. And that's what I love when Jesus went to the desert to speak with the devil, with the snake, is because he didn't want to pass his poison to its loved ones. Because everybody knows that it's so easy when you react to scream at your partner, to scream at your parents, to scream at your people that you're safe with. And this becomes a bully. You begin bullying your loved ones. And this is like the victim manipulating the loved ones. Because here he comes, he's going to react again. But what good is it to be in integrity, to wake up? It doesn't feel good anymore because you don't like the message that you're giving. So in the fifth agreement, we say, what kind of messenger are you? And what's the message that you give to yourself and the people that you say you love with all your heart? If you like it, continue. But if you don't like it, you can change it. And this is when we use the impeccability of the word to really use it, because we're skeptical of the negativity. And be careful, parasites. Be careful, parasite world, because here comes the angel, full of inspiration. Here comes the liberator. And the liberator, our savior, has never been someone outside of us. Because remember when I said we are our own guardian angel. Who cares what they call us? Shaman, guru, just human, musician. Who cares what they call us? We're just life. And when we know we're just life, we're not going to separate ourselves with gender or race, because we didn't pick where to be born, what gender to be. So there's so many genders out there that I know that we're just life, because we all deserve to love. We all deserve to be accepted. We all deserve not to be discriminated. And the moment that we don't pick sides anymore, that everybody has the right to live, is the artist's freedom. And this is the community of the Toltec, where everybody is their own individual free artist without judging themselves. And that's the free artist, because any artist will tell you to break free is to stop that judger. And I tell you, many people who still go in front of thousands of people, they still feel the butterflies, but they may confuse it. It's not fear, it's excitement. And when you breathe it in, oh my God, all that love that comes from everywhere. Why deny ourselves from that? It's because we deny ourselves from love, then nobody's going to love us, because we don't see ourselves in love. But when we love ourselves, we see ourselves in every mirror. Even the people who don't love themselves, they will move their head and we will wiggle our tail like we were puppies and go wherever we're accepted, because we will not take that person personally. Because sometimes people who are negative and scream at us being negative, they're only asking for help. If we take them personally, that's why being skeptical of our negativity, it's very, helpful. And that was the fifth agreement for me.
Okay. I'm like ready to have you run for president or something of the entire world. I'm like, can I just nominate you now to run it all? Like, can you stand up and we can just, everyone listen and tune in, because what you're saying feels so true. This idea of, I love this, of I being my own guardian angel, gosh, do I relate, Jose, to this? The poison, I can't, there's no words. I was just talking to a dear friend who's an energy healer before, and I was saying, I can't get over the way my mind can get around something and just, it's poisonous. And then it doesn't even seem that way because I'm so used to it. And I'm aware of it. And I'm still like, what is going, how is this? So it's this, be skeptical of your negativity. It's like, I got to read this again. Like, I need to read this all again. And just, it's daily tending to the garden. It's what you said, but this is so freeing, because it's the essence of who we really are, is the angel, is the ability to rebirth, regenerate.
Yes. And the beautiful thing is that we're always changing. We're always transforming. And that's the beautiful thing about the underworld, because many people don't understand, why am I here again? Yeah. But this is a beautiful thing about the Toltec tradition. We are aware of the underworld. So we open up, we feel heaven, we find the sun. But Mama goes, oh no, you're still going to the underworld. But every time we go to the underworld, it becomes less attaching to it, because we go through it and we learn something new, and then we go and deliver the gems. And then we come back to it. We take one for the team. We learn, we unlearn. And when we give something, and that's why I said, if we were in a relationship that didn't work, we were supposed to be that, because that was our university. A schooling, or people said that we failed. We were trying. We did everything to get to this point, and everything in life was perfect because it was what it was. We cannot say it wasn't supposed to happen, because it did happen. So when we accept it, acceptance, surrender, and recreate.
Acceptance, surrender, and like, I've got no more room to write notes all over the place. I love that. Oh my gosh, you
Here's
are.
the beautiful thing about life. You know, when we let a dream go, the beautiful thing is that we're about to recreate a dream, and that's what a dream master is. A dream master is not a person that can read your dreams or control your dreams. No, that's superstition. The dream master is the one that masters his own life. That if they don't like their life, they can change it and continue celebrating life. Because imagine how many dreams we're going to live in this lifetime. Where we live the elementary, the junior high, the high school, the workplace, the marriage, the relationships. There's so many dreams that we come and go. And the most beautiful thing about this life to understand, brothers and sisters, is to create beautiful memories. Like right now, I'm having a beautiful memory, beautiful experience that, you know, next time I'm in the car or someplace else, I will stop and think about this moment and I will smile, because that's what gives fuel to the soul. Art.
Unbelievable. You are, you're just such a gift. I'm like, when and how can I get more time with you, Jose? You just, well, and I think what I'm getting from you is this unlearning and this going within and getting who we really are and not getting trapped by the, as you said, the snake, which is our own mind. I'm so with you. What I'm getting is the more we do that, the more light that we're able to radiate. And so what I'm experiencing, and I'm quite in tune with energy. So I'm like, I feel I'm high on something. Like your energy is just beautiful, light, just incredible wisdom and truth and love. And it's just so clear you are at one with, you know, in human body, but with this divine mother, with the angel that is you. And I think what I love about this conversation is that all of us have this ability. We're all designed to connect and to feel this and to be at one with our higher self, with our angel.
Yes, and absolutely, I agree with you. And one of the beautiful things about resurrecting is that every moment is special. Every moment is special because they could not be here, but it is here. So we just make the best out of it and, you know, be optimists. Even if there's dark times, if there's troubled times, that's not going to stop us from enjoying our life, because this is how we say thank you to Mother. We enjoyed the gift that was given to us, no matter what.
Beautiful. I'm going to invite everyone, if you're not watching this, can we do that for a minute? If people are watching, I love what you do. You take your hands to your face. It is the most beautiful. I do this with my son. I like hold his hand, his face, and I'm like kissing. My daughter won't let me, but my son will still. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm going to do that with myself. And you did that. Like that's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sometimes I feel the love, especially from father and mother. Like father used to grab me and grab, you know, and every time I try to complain or talk about my problem, he goes like, put me in his arms, and with his fingers he goes. But I go, but dad, this, no. And then after feeling the love and surrendering, he goes, okay, what was it you want to talk to me about? And I go, oh, nothing.
I'm good now. And we can do that for ourselves, because some people I know didn't have that, weren't raised with that, but we can do that with ourselves. We can give that to ourselves.
And especially, you know, if you see your body as a puppy, it's a whole different living being than you. You know, it's like when someone transcends from this world, there's two types of feeling the pain. There's the pain of mind to mind of the human, but there's the relationship between puppy and puppy, body to body, because they have their whole relationship. And when we notice that we've been abusing our puppy all our life, you know, we wake up and say, oh my God, I don't want to abuse this puppy anymore. It's time for me to take care of it, because, you know, all my life, this puppy has been loyal to me. Now it's time for me to be loyal to this puppy. And that's what transformation is all about. That's why, you know, we wiggle our tail, and I feel like, you know, dogs, puppies, you know, they're my favorite people, because they're just full of love. And they're just scared to just be with you. And even in the dark times, in troubled times, they come and just be with you. Oh, the puppies, and especially this puppy.
I love it.
Till death do us part.
Oh, and then continue. And then the next adventure.
Yep, exactly. Because like my father says, you know, energy cannot be destroyed. We just amplify. And this is a beautiful thing. That's why we believe that this is also body's mother. She's lending it to us so we can see each other, so we can speak to one another, inspire one another. And this is what we're creating. You know, they put the humans on top of the chain of the world. And then we say we're not perfect. No, we're perfect with the mistakes that we have done, we're doing, and that we'll do. Because with that, we find the antidote, we find the medicine, and we find the gift and offerings from our heart to give to this world. And before we transcend, and evaporate to the other dream. We're going to do the best and give all the gems for the future generations, because that's what they did to us. And this is the dream of the elders, because we all are elders. We just have forgotten.
Wow. A moment of just gratitude. Our world needs the medicine of your words, and we all have it, but thank you for being a leader of light and healing and global upliftment. I mean, I'm just so grateful you were here today. In my heart, you're with all of us. I'm grateful of what you're sharing in this world. We need that. And we all have it, but you really exude it. I mean, it's like coming out of you. Beautiful.
Well, Caesar, thank you. We'll, like I said earlier, we'll work for the same bus, and we all are doing our part. And our part is just, taking care of our garden, our mind, and sharing our art with one another, because we're all the same.
Yeah.
You just, believe 100% in you, like you will believe in any other sacred thing in life, because you are sacred. We all are life.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jose. That is the perfect. I have a whole school where I teach this about living a sacred. It's all about being sacred. Everything is sacred, and you just said it. I'm like, that's it. That's it. We're sacred.
Yes. Like my favorite band says, every stone is an altar.
Oh, I'm like, I've got so many notes. Every story is an altar. Thank you for sharing your heart, your pure heart.
And thank you for doing your work too, sister. We work for the same boss.
Thank you.